Warhorse is a story based off the book written by Michael McPurgo as a retelling of World War I through the eyes of the horse. We are first introduced to Albert, a young boy who falls in love with a horse that he's seen grow from foal to stallion. A twist of fate would have it that Albert and Joey were to be together and grow old in the calm countryside of England until Albert and Joey are faced with learning to fly separate journeys home while surviving the dangers of World War I. In this video, I'll be talking about the amazing cinematography and how the visuals give the symbolism of bravery, promise, and connection to Joey and Albert over the years. There are many symbols that the camera captures in this film to help tell the story of bravery. At first, we are viewing the beautiful countryside of England and are introduced to Joey and Albert. It normally takes a foal a few tries to stand up, but Joey spares no time in showing off his strength. This small moment sets the tone for the whole story and will tell just how magnificent this horse actually is. At the town auction, Ted Narracott could see
he's something else, that one.
And brought him home.
What have you done?
That's Mooney's colt.
You were supposed to buy a plough horse.
You bought him?
From then on, Joey had to prove his worth to everyone he came in contact with. For example, when he learns to plow the field with Albert, the ground is solid stone, and it's up to Joey and Albert to save the farm and prep the land for harvest. Joey takes a few tries to understand his work, but soon gives up from exhaustion.
Oh. You've got no chance, lad. He'll not turn over half an acre. Give it up now. You've done well. You've tried hard. You're more than a man than your father.
Come on now, Mr. Lyons. It's a bit rough, isn't it?
Well, he'll destroy that horse.
Once the rain comes and softens the ground, Joey comes back and proves his worth to the villagers as they watch the impossible happen through this thoroughbred horse.
Joey, stop! You bring the blade!
Will you look at you?
Another moment is when he shows his worth in a cavalry race. Joey is sent off to war and is chosen by Captain Nichols in the British cavalry.
Will you lease him to me, Albert, to be my own mount?
As part of his time there, he grows to prove himself to Topthorn, a big black horse ridden by Major Stewart, the commanding officer in the cavalry. Now I'm going to show you a clip of the race, and I want you to think about how they successfully recorded this scene.
I know you've got it. Come on, boy! Come on!
How do you think they did it? They did it with a motorized jib on the top of the car running next to the horses at top speeds. There are many other scenes that use this technique, and it's fascinating to see how they could get the footage to look so clear. But let's get back to the story. From this scene, we follow them again as they charge into battle, introducing us to the war. Joey and Topthorn are then taken by two brothers, Gunther and Michael, and the German army to pull the ambulances for the injured men in the front. On a whim of a promise and bravery, the two brothers took the horses, ran away from the German army, hid under the windmill of a French farmer, and were executed for their treacherous behavior. The next morning, we are introduced to Emily, a French girl with a bone disease. Meeting Emily creates a break from the darkness in the story and tells us about Emily as she longs to learn to fly as well.
It will only be settled when I decide which one to ride first.
Mates.
Over my dead body!
At least I won't have long to wait.
Sadly, the Germans find Joey and Topthorn and take them away to pull guns for the front. In this scene particularly, we see the bravery of Joey again as he charges up the hill to take Topthorn's place in pulling the guns.
And you see, sir, this one is stronger.
Hook him up.
We also learned that in this small transition that Albert has joined the war too, and is now connected to Joey in finding his way home. Because we've been following Joey this whole time, we can now see the connections that he and Albert share in the war. They go to war with their best friend, get separated in battle, meet up in the trenches after everything, only to lose their mates without warning. Looking back at Albert, we see that he is injured and must go to a healing area away from the front. After Topthorn dies, Joey races through no man's land, finally learning how to fly over the war and injuring himself by being caught in the barbed wire. As a turning point in the story, we see a British soldier and a German soldier work together to set Joey free from his chains and lead him to find healing as well. Fate again has a funny way of working in the life of Joey and Albert because after losing hope in the war, they find hope again in each other.
Joey. Hello, Joey. Where you been then, eh? Where in the world you been?
This brings me to my final symbol of promise. From the start of the story, Albert promises to care for Joey and become his new family. They build a bond and they prove their worth to the villagers in Devon. They learn about bravery by observing the regimented pendant that Albert's father received in the Boer War in Africa.
To war if I gone and saved my mates.
Well, whether or not you think you do the same thing as him, think how brave he is, refusing to be proud.
And when the seasons change, the family lands on a difficult task and are forced to sell Joey to Captain Nichols. Albert takes his father's regimented pennant and ties it to Joey as a vow.
Yeah, this isn't the end, my brother. I, Albert Arcott, solemnly swear we will be together again. Wherever you are, I will find you, and I will bring you home.
This flag is presented over and over as a symbol of promise that Albert made to Joey, and the promises that are made to everyone who comes in contact with Joey. This flag is also a symbol of bravery, as it survives a whole other war, giving everyone the feeling of hope, connection, and promise. At the end of the story, Albert and Joey are reunited and are on their way home. The colors of orange and the setting sun gives us a feeling of rest and warmth, a perfect homecoming after being submerged in the dark colors of black, blue, and gray from the war. The beautiful silhouettes of Joey and Albert are unmatched in telling the end of the film. As Albert reunites with his mother and faces his father as a man, Joey stands in the light, finally feeling at home. All of this started with the bravery of Albert's father, the connection between a boy and his horse, and the promise Albert made to his best friend he had ever had. This film is a beautiful work of art telling an old story from multiple sides in a new way. Horses don't care who they work for. They work out of love and trust. They have always been known as a fight or flight animal, and well, to fly over a war, what could be braver than that?